What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Sal in the building right now. Just wanted to make some quick comments about the Julian Edelman video. I'm coming to you just the way he came to us, all right? He's got the black shirt, the black hat, the chain. I mean, I don't see any pictures of Julian Edelman like that on the internet, but somehow he wants to pretend he's not a millionaire, so he came to us in low quality video and, you know, the blacked out look, as if for whatever reason that he can't come to us in a much more respectful kind of way. Don't you agree? I just thought that was very interesting. To point to his comments, folks, he has really some nerve to make that video, and here's why. When I look at Julian Edelman, and particularly his first 4 years in the NFL, he's got a lot of privilege working on his side, because if it wasn't for the team he was on, if it wasn't for the quarterback that he had, in any other team in the NFL, he would have been out of the league. I want you to pause this video and I want you to go look at the first 4 years of production of Julian Edelman. And you go and you tell me that that man would be in the league right now if he was a black man. There's no way. There's no way. So you're coming to us with a whole lot of privilege, buddy. All right? A whole lot of privilege. All right? You need to really slow your roll. You know what I'm saying? I felt a little attitude in that video. And I don't know, I'm being maybe a little bit sensitive about it, but it felt very disingenuous to me. All right, because these people have channels, they have agents, they have coaches, they know how to get a hold of each other. But this tells me that it wasn't about us. It wasn't about black Americans, right? I've been studying the Jewish community for a little bit here, about a year and a half or so, on and off. And what I have learned is that they are very, very sensitive about looking weak. You got to remember, Israel is pretty much surrounded by enemies, right? Who want to rip their head off, want to destroy the state of Israel. So they're very, very sensitive about, looking like a punk, right? So this Julian Edelman video was not for us. It was for the Jewish community to say, look, we're going to spank these people in line, right? Look at us correct these people. We're going to get tough on these black people. That's what this was about. It wasn't for us. Right. It wasn't about, this has nothing to do with Steven Jackson. It has nothing to do with the incredible wide receiver Deshaun Jackson is. You're not even on his level, Julian Edelman, to be honest with you. You're not on his level. What Deshaun Jackson has been able to do with the same number of catches you've been able to do is absolutely incredible. And if Deshaun Jackson had a quarterback, right, if he had a quarterback like Tom Brady, Deshaun Jackson would be a Hall of Famer. No doubt in my mind. With the incredible ability that he came out of college with, he'd be a Hall of Famer. But I digress. Different conversation. Shout out to Steven Jackson, because what I see in Steven Jackson is not anything having to do with Israel or anti-Semitism or anything. He is really dealing with the fact that he feels like he should have done more for George Floyd. If you know the story between Steven Jackson and George Floyd, they were confused of being family members, even being brothers. They were that close. And although George Floyd had received help from Steven Jackson regularly, he never wanted to use his friend, right? And Steven Jackson, since George Floyd's death, has, I think, in my opinion, has really gone inward about, man, I should have done more for his life. And I don't think whether it would be about Israel or about killing animals, or Steven Jackson would have stepped in for anybody in this situation, because he's dealing with something. I don't even think this is about anti-Semitism when it comes to Steven Jackson. This is a man who is dealing with feeling like he should have done more for his friend, right? And that's why he's taking this assist, right? He's taking this steal really and stepping in front of Deshaun Jackson, right? He would have stepped in no matter what the topic would have been, all right? And this idea that, anti-Semitism, let me tell you people something, all right? And this is all you folks. Nobody in the hood studies anti-Semitism like that. If you are black and you go to a school that's predominantly in a black area, you don't study Israel like that. We don't study Jewish history like that. We don't. I watched Anne Frank maybe once in 5th grade, and that was it. That was it. That was the gist of the lesson when it comes to the story about Jewish people. You don't study Israel like that. So when I keep hearing anti-Semitic, these people don't even know what that is, yo. And when I say these people, I mean black people who've been growing up in predominantly black neighborhoods for the last 30, 35 years do not study Jewish culture or history. They don't. Go to Detroit, go to Chicago, go get, 20 black kids in 8th grade or 12th grade. They don't even know what anti-Semitism probably means. They may have an idea, but they don't really know. They don't really know, right? When you are people like Deshaun Jackson and Steven Jackson, people who are incredibly gifted athletically, and they've really been kind of pushed their whole lives through the academic system because of their performance on the field, they don't get the same kind of education as people who go to school to learn. All right. It's a very different education that they get. And you can hear it in the way they communicate. You can hear it in the way they speak on topics. They're not well educated to speak on the topics. So they're very easily influenced by outside individuals who can come to them and offer them a view on things that are factually incorrect. So what I'm looking at, I'm actually looking at Deshaun Jackson and Steven Jackson as really victims of ignorance, right? Really as victims of ignorance. And it's so sad because what the Jewish community, I think, is doing is really trying to look at them as, are these Nazis, or are these, in a very negative, I'm going to beat them up kind of way, instead of kind of looking at them from a very ignorant point of view, right? And that's why I had a problem with the Julian Edelman video, because I know he's got a way to get a hold of those guys in a way that he didn't have to make a video about it, right? He didn't have to make a video about it. And that lack of knowing that, in terms of the lack of education, just goes to show that this idea that Jews and blacks are on the same level is just not, it's not true. That may have been the case in the 1950s, right? It may have been the case in the early 60s, but that's not the case anymore. There's very little in common between the Jewish man and the African American man in America today. Show me the statistics when it comes to home ownership. Show me the statistics when it comes to educational attainment. Show me the statistics when it comes to net worth, right? It's not on the same level. So this idea that, you guys are on the same page with black Americans, it's not true. It's not true, right? And sure, maybe there was a time that Jewish Americans really invested, in the idea that, we have to help black Americans achieve, the opportunity to be able to kind of go where they want to go and shop where they want to shop and live where they want to live. But I don't see that anymore. Maybe it's just not being expressed in the way it was at the time, right? Maybe there are a lot of Jewish people doing great things for black Americans and we don't know about it, and I don't know about it. And I have a feeling that could be the case because I just don't see, I don't see black Americans who are in positions of influence talking about what the Jewish community is still doing for black people. I haven't seen it over the last 25, 30 years of my life. I have not seen that. Right? I don't know. I just feel like maybe were black people just simply ways or a method for the Jewish community to crowbar themselves into the greater society of America. The same way I feel like certain aspects of the LGBTQ movement could be seen as doing, kind of using the narrative of the struggle of black people as a way to get a step up. And again, that's a different conversation. I'm going to end this video here shortly, but I just feel that, you have groups out here who have once upon a time really loved black American people, and now it's like, these people. That's what I see when I'm looking at these conversations. And again, I'm an African, so I can't, sometimes I mix my language up because I feel that pain for them. I feel that energy sometimes in my daily life in regarding from how other groups see me until I start speaking usually. But it's a sad situation all around. It's a sad situation all around. I'd love to hear what you think about my comments. I'd love to hear what you think about what's going on in regards to this situation. But again, I just want to reiterate to the Jewish community, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. It's a lack of education. It's a lack of knowledge, right? You got a lot of black people who are saying, well, what did Israel look like 2,500 years ago, 3,000 years ago? Did the people there look like, what's his son-in-law's name? Trump's son-in-law. Did they look like him? Or let me just use Julian Eldelman. Did they look like Julian Eldelman, or did they look like Deshaun Jackson? That's the research that's going into this, all right? And they're saying, well, they were copper colored or whatever, or brown, so they must have been black people. That's not real research, but that's what's has gained hold within certain black people, and they've taken that knowledge and they're spreading it. But if you are not invested in, providing a vehicle so that people can become knowledgeable about what your story really is, then that's what happens. And when I look at black society today, black education today, you're not getting that. You're not getting a knowledge on what Jewish history is. You're not getting that knowledge. So it's your boy Sal, man. I just wanted to wrap it up. Again, I've studied the Jewish community. I made a video about the Jewish community. Incredible lessons that they teach each other, particularly about the power of reading, the power of knowledge. And it's just not there when it comes to many other groups. And if those Jewish lessons of, reading and embracing the love and joy of knowledge could be spread across every group on this world, then we wouldn't have to have these conversations, right? We wouldn't have to have these conversations that are honestly ridiculous conversations. All right, I'm talking over myself now. It's your boy Sal. I'm probably going to have problems about this video, but it is what it is. I really hope that you understand where I'm kind of coming from, but I'm more interested in hearing what you have to say. So until next time, everyone, take care.